Okay, everyone, I think we'll kick off. Thanks for joining this session on open banking. Just wanted to say, if you could keep your mics muted throughout the session, and you can unmute them at the end when we'll do the Q&A. And also, if you have any questions throughout the session, please just pop them into the chat bar and we'll answer these at the end. I'll pass over to Ian now to introduce the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. So hi, everyone. My name's Ian Glenn. I'm the CEO here at Wellington IT. So I just want to start by welcoming you all to our cuEngage event this afternoon, focused on open banking. So if any of you have joined any of our previous sessions, you'll be aware that cuEngage is all about knowledge sharing and thought leadership. And that's very much true today. We have a great session lined up this afternoon with two fantastic speakers. So we'll kick things off with Edel. Edel is Head of Credit at Member First Credit Union. And Edell's going to talk us through the journey that they've been on implementing open banking integration in partnership with Wellington into their loan process, and really share some of the positive impacts that you're enjoying, I guess, Edel, as a result of that, and what the future looks like in terms of how we grow that out. We're then going to hand over to Kathy. So Kathy is the Senior Technical Product Manager for Portfolio Plus. So Portfolio Plus are a sister company to Wellington IT. We both sit within the global Vancora banking group. So great to have Kathy join us today. Portfolio Plus provide a wide range of software solutions and cloud services to banks, credit unions, and fintechs across the Canadian market. So Kathy's going to share a little bit of the experiences Portfolio Plus are seeing in the Canadian market, just to give us a little bit of context of where open banking, I guess, is going directionally. So yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. So Edel, I will hand over to you.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to Rebecca, Emily, Ian and the team in Wellington for inviting me to take part today. So open banking is a relatively new financial service, so don't worry if you're not entirely sure of how it works. Throughout this afternoon's session, and based on our experience, I'll try my best to explain what open banking is, how it works, how open banking affects Irish bank account holders, and why you should consider using open banking services. So open banking is happening because of the introduction of new regulations, which set out to make the banking industry more competitive and to encourage the development of innovative new products and services, which make managing finances more straightforward and in turn enable the member to save both time and money. There are currently two main purposes of open banking: the sharing of account information and the processing of payments and deposits. And primarily for MFCU, the credit union member does not need to seek the relevant information from other sources. The retrieval of the information through open banking is substantially more efficient. And think about the last time you applied for a loan, all the paperwork involved in proving your eligibility for credit, all the documents you had to gather from various sources. Now imagine if you could provide that information, your recent financial history, at the click of a button. Well, you can with open banking, and it eliminates the need for borrowers or lenders to manually compile, send and verify bank statements. Via TrueLayer, the member's account transaction data is captured and presented to us in an easy-to-use dashboard within our already secure CU Online platform. And a 6-month bank statement is also automatically created and saved in PDF in Scion for future reference, keeping it safe and simple. Overall, open banking makes for a much smoother, hassle-free member experience, and it vastly improves the time and effort required to assess a loan application. Open banking is facilitated via an API with TrueLayer, and they're an outsourced partner of Wellington IT, and therefore a contractual agreement, SLAs, data processing agreements are all in place to document their role as the API provider. And this enables a secure, fast and reliable means of information sharing between the relevant organisations. TrueLayer are the effective go-between or connector. And they're an open banking market leader with 50% of open banking traffic in UK, Ireland and Spain following through their network. Organisations currently availing of the TrueLayer open banking services include Bank of Ireland, Revolut, Santander, Deutsche Bank and also RBS Group. So these are all well-known financial institutions. So what data is shared? So if the member agrees to use open banking, they'll need to provide their consent for the third-party provider to access their data. And to do this, the third-party provider will direct the member to their bank's secure website called an account access site, where they verify themselves and provide authority to the credit union to access their data. Now remember, the third-party providers can't access this information without the member first providing consent, and they can always choose to stop sharing data at any time. Using open banking is a personal choice, and it allows us real-time direct access to members' financial data via their other banks. However, if a member feels uncomfortable using third-party apps to manage finances, open banking may not be suitable for them. If they're looking for a way to manage their money and be more in control of finances, open banking would definitely be more beneficial. So you can see the type of information of data that is shared. So, it's beneficiaries, direct debits and standing orders, data about transactions, details of any products that the member may have. So a lot of information is available and sent across. If a member agrees to proceed with the open banking journey during the application process, they receive an email with a link which brings them to the open banking portal, whereby they complete the process to connect their accounts. MFCU's link is active for 72 hours, and this parameter is configurable. However, we felt that we needed to allow the members sufficient time in case they forgot their login details or they didn't have their login details to hand. And for ourselves, that probably felt more so for members if they were applying over the phone or in branch. So it gave them time that they could, go back home and complete the process in their own home. Once a member's open banking statement is received, MFCU receive a message to advise a document has been uploaded to Scion and it is saved under their stored documents. As I said, I'm kind of going through this in a lot of basic details, but as Ian alluded to earlier on, there have been demos in the past, which I'm sure Wellington will be happy to send on a copy to, and we'll go through in more detail. Just a copy of a couple of the screens that you can see. So it's a fairly straightforward process, and feedback from all our members who have used it. We've had no really complaints. They've kind of said it's brilliant and it's a great flow through. Now, just to be aware, not all financial institutions partake in open banking, so there may be one or two providers who are yet to come on board. But for those who do send statements across to ourselves, it's really brilliant from a member's point of view. So with all this data being accessed, it is important to ask whether open banking is safe. Open banking is a safe, regulated, government-led service designed to provide a member with safety and security. Open banking in Ireland is regulated through the Payment Services Regulations 2017, and it brings the second EU Payment Service Directive, or PSD2, into law. MFCU carried out a risk assessment ahead of adopting open banking, and this was considered in terms of risk to credit, operations, and also from a governance point of view. And we covered data protection from a business continuity and information security perspective. We looked at the risk of a data breach or an incident or a cyber attack occurring during the process. We considered the possibility that a member may link a third-party bank statement to their MFCU loan app in order to increase their chances of loan approval. We look at the threat of AML to see if open banking could cause an increase in AML through exploitation of vulnerabilities in the system. We looked at fraud, but the member must use their online banking log-on details to link bank statements to loan applications via open banking. And the loan will still be assessed on the basis of ability to repay. Bank statements, are just one part of the loan decision process. We also carried out a DPIA, or a data protection impact analysis, in August 2022. And this was on the use of Wellington IT open banking. And the DPIA conducted that through layer were fit for purpose in the provision of open banking services. And we concluded that the risk arising from open banking is medium. However, for us, the benefits from a lending perspective far outweigh the risks that's involved. So the key drivers for MFCU. Well, our mission is to keep our members first in an ever-changing world, and digitising our offerings does not mean leaving behind those who are not digitally enabled. It means streamlining our processes through digital enhancements for the benefit of all our members. Members expect more convenience and flexible access to services, and this is driven by broader knowledge of the digital experience and emerging technology. We wanted to boost our loan book, and from a loan underwriting perspective, open banking reduces the amount of information that the member needs to provide to credit union, as the lending team can access their bank statements they require immediately. And in turn, this expedites the loan application process, leading to a quicker turnaround on the application decision. And to date, feedback from our members has been very positive. For a long time, we encountered issues with members not having the required bank statements at loan app stage, and this resulted in delays and lost opportunities. It was often the case whereby when we requested bank statements from our members, the mainstream bank would have offered them the loan instead when they contacted them to order statements. We also wanted to make the credit union experience even better for our members by driving efficiency of their loan application. Instead of the members having to download their bank statements, then re-upload these online via the CM Online or mobile app, they can just grant us direct access to their account with one click. And it also allows a seamless process of our loan application journey. Scion can capture this information and share it to your decision as a service engine via API. In our case, we use Visualize. and we're going live with this enhancement hopefully later this week. Wellington can map the bank account transactions across to Visualise and in turn enhance the automated loan decision offering from an operational point of view. And this is crucial for MFCU to achieve our goal of reducing our loan decision turnaround time and also to lessen any risks associated with these loans. And have a look at some of the feedback that we received to date just from Trustpilot there. Very fast and efficient. The speed and accuracy was great. We'd also receive a lot of we would have a positive feedback form that we would use, and from our members we would receive a lot of emails and feedback there saying, you know, they couldn't believe how quick it was approved. We had a lot of members from a branch point of view where at that counter the loan is more or less approved there and then, you know, so it's definitely the way forward, and our members seem to really like this change. All they require is access to technology, so time spent is reduced and operations are automated. So MSCU success. So we initially went live for web loan apps only back in, I think it was early April of this year. And as a testing phase, we just wanted to dip our toes in the water first. And once we were satisfied with the process, we then rolled it out to in-branch and over the phone loan applications. Since MFCU started with open banking, I'm happy to report that 45% of our web loans have gone on to connect their bank accounts. Now, we would have about, for web loan applications, we'd have between 500 and 700 applications a month via the web, and maybe across the board, we'd have about 1,600 applications per month. But we do hope this to increase now that we've rolled it out to both in-branch and over the phone. Plus, as a credit union, we're doing what we possibly can to try and, you know, promote or push our online loan application, which we hope again in turn will increase that figure going forward. Until recently, you know, there has been perhaps a lack of credibility on the members' part towards the new form of banking, and that's partly due to the fear of sharing their data, as well as their lack of knowledge of how it works. So I must note a key driver for ensuring the service is successful is to continue training of staff to ensure we reassure and educate the member of the guidelines and specific information that will be retrieved from their banks. So what's next for MFCU with open banking? The loans integration is the first step and a significant leap for credit unions entering the world of open banking. We have planned communication campaigns that explain how open banking works and benefits the members. We've also prepared some how-to videos which we hope to upload on our website. We're also going to work very closely with Wellington IT to explore open banking payments or peer-to-peer payments, and this will benefit our members with instant and easy payment options. So overall, open banking for us was the next clear step on our journey to be a digital first credit union. And although we are still at very early stages, we've been very satisfied with how it's worked out for us so far. So thank you for your time this afternoon, and I really hope you found my feedback beneficial. We're now going to hear from Cathy from Portfolio Plus, who will discuss some further opportunities that open banking can offer you. Thank you.
I just want to make sure you can see my screen okay.
Yes, we can, yep.
Okay, great. So I'm Cathy Muloin. I'm one of the product managers at Portfolio Plus. I've been with the company for over 15 years, and ironically, for a lot of those 15 years, we've been tracking open banking and the payment modernization in Canada. So the Government of Canada announced its intention to explore the merits of open banking in 2016. Canada is very fortunate that we are taking the steps towards open banking framework. We're not the first or the second country to implement the solution. That means we have an opportunity to gather advice and follow best practices. So we're definitely watching your market. The federal government appointed an advisory committee on open banking that would engage Canadians in 2 phases. The first phase was to explore the merits of open banking, and the second phase would be to implement it with a focus on privacy and security. Canada has defined a multi-tiered payment modernization strategy to go hand in hand with this strategy. Phase 1 for Canada introduced the SWIFT payments for cross-border transfers using the ISO API messages that you use. Another phase introduced additional processing windows for our batch file payment clearing process. But the biggest change is yet to come, which is our real-time payment system. The intention is to retain the batch file clearing process while introducing the new real-time rails, they call it. So this will be used using ISO API messages as well as data flows that will use our new payment rails. The new, more modern payment system will mean instant clearing between financial institutions that translate into customer awareness as soon as they get the transfer on their financial position. These more modern ISO messages will carry additional data than our current batch clearing systems carry today. The data is intended to carry information that will benefit consumers as well as businesses. A small example of the benefit for the additional data points would be to carry invoicing data along with the payment. To benefit businesses would be able to tag a payment with an invoice that would lead to an easier payment balancing for those businesses. This has been a natural migration away from checks, which are a slower payment clearing process, as people migrate to using e-transfers, sending money, paying employees, and to settle invoices differently today. So soon these electronic payments will carry the information needed for businesses as well as people that have side businesses to match that payment with the ISO message directly to an invoice, so no longer manual cross-referencing and balancing of your books. In January 2019, the government completed a consultation paper, a review on the merits of open banking, and explored the risks of the open banking system. As part of the 2021 report, the committee felt it was a more accurate term to use consumer-directed finance. The definition of consumer-directed finance is a consumer-controlled, secure, and protects the privacy. It allows the consumers to give instructions to financial institutions to share their transactional data with accredited third parties of their choosing, which is exactly what you guys have completed. We're just not quite there yet. The consumer-directed finance is a strategy to allow consumers to share their financial data across other banks of their choosing. The Financial Data Exchange Network, known as FDX, appears to be becoming the industry standard for consumer access in Canada. And by the way, I keep saying bank because I'm married to a banker for 35 years and he works in a bank, not a credit union. I tend to blur those two words the same, just so that you're aware. I do tend to say banking. Today, Canada has not implemented the new consumer-directed finance plan or launched the real-time payment system. Looking at the Canadian evolution holistically, we have introduced legislation and some new rules that protect our consumers. We've introduced the electronic payments alert, where if balances drop below $100 or whatever the consumer decides, they have to be notified electronically by email or another method. And that's now a law in Canada. I think that's coming into being just so that we can get ready for these instant payments. Canada is also reviewing Bill C-27 and has already passed Bill 64, which is now Law 25, all around consumer privacy. The intention is to anonymize or remove personal information that is no longer needed by the bank. So if you share information with the bank, you can now remove that information. You can go into the bank and say, I no longer want you to have my information, and the bank will have to anonymize or completely remove the data from their financial institutions. Our banks are introducing this functionality to protect the consumer and to notify the consumer of activity in their accounts. Many of the items that we used to have to go into a branch previously to complete are now completed online. We can now, in Canada, we're opening accounts, we're transferring money. We can automate our bill payments instantly. As Canada waits for the consumer finance to be established, our online financial platforms continue to grow with other automation. So hopefully in 2024, Canada will be beginning into the same steps that you guys have taken. And we look forward to stepping into the industry. I'm sure if you have any questions for me.
That's
Thanks,
fantastic. Kathy, yeah. So just to kind of wrap that, I guess, really useful. And one of the reasons I asked Kathy to kind of give us that was give us two different perspectives, right? Because I guess the compliance and the regulations are emerging, right? And they're kind of mirroring what's been done in the UK and Ireland, but also looking at how you can build that out, right? And I kind of opened this session by talking a little bit about thought leadership, and that's exactly what Kathy has just done in terms of how they're kind of driving and lobbying that. So we have regulations, right, in place, and that's enabled us to be consumers of open banking data, which is what Edel talked about, and effectively, so whether you're one of our customers in Ireland, whether our customers in the UK, you can avail of the integration that Edel talked about. I think it's hugely encouraging, actually, those statistics, Edel, just in terms of the uptake, because I think what that does is shows customer confidence is changing, right? And I think there's a way to go there, but I think it's really about building out capability that's streamlined and frictionless for members, but actually has added significant value in a safe and compliant way, and I think what's really interesting, just to Kathy's point, just listening to you chat, Kathy, is, well, where does it go next, right? Because you kind of have the benefit of looking at legislation and regulation that's already in place and then trying to shape that, right? So what can we learn from that in terms of how we build this out, and as if we reflect on the customers that are on the call here who have current accounts, right? So you're not currently obligated to be part of the Open Banking Forum from supplying your account data up to other third parties, but I think that's inevitable. That's going to come at some point in time, and therefore that's probably important for you guys to think about, well, how are you seen as a financial institution, and are you providing that convenience? Obviously you want them to bank with you, but how are you providing that kind of service back, so again, that's useful. So thanks for that. So I don't know if we have any specific questions in the chat, or if anyone wants to come off mute and ask anything to either Edel or Kathy, or anyone in the Wellington team.
Hi Ian, it's just Karen and Rebecca here from AV8. How are you?
I'm very good. Hi.
Grand. Sorry, I had the camera off there. I just have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Course,
just as Edel was going through the information, it was great. Just, do you find, Edel, that you have many members that don't have their banking login details? Do you find that's an issue, or?
Not generally speaking. What we do find is, obviously the member has to have an email set up, an email address set up on their account. So it may be the case that when you're going through the application, they may, now this, for members who apply via the app, we don't seem to have as many issues, but for members where we're trying to convert, if they apply over the phone in branch, we do find that obviously during the application stage, we are updating their email address and confirming it. Those type of people, they're the ones that we want to try and promote more, maybe open bank, because you do find sometimes when they don't have their online banking details there, they have to go home and do it. They say, oh, you know what, I'll just go in and get it. So that's maybe from our own point of view an area that we need to try and push a little bit more. But that's why we did leave the link valid for 72 hours. And we have found that what we're trying to do as well, we do keep note, we do contact those members. Part of our, our underwriting process, we'd always follow up on an application, but we're trying to maybe push to those members that maybe initially this time, if you don't want to use open banking, but we do try and sell it over the phone to say that if you do want to apply again, this is so much easier, it's so much faster, it's slicker. So the next time, that might be something that'd be worth doing. But we wouldn't have a huge amount of members who come back to us and say, I don't have my online details, because if they want the loan, they'll do what they can to kind of get it. That's what we find it anyway. Yeah.
I think so just a couple of points there just to clarify. So just for complete transparency, so there's two, from an integration point of view, as Edel says, there's two options. Someone can apply online or via the app, and then they get the opportunity, and you can shape and word how you how you want to frame open banking at that point, but they do it there and then. Or if they apply over the phone or in branch, then that's where this email comes into. But it just reminded me, Edel, of something you and I were talking about last week, which is that one of the other advantages here is that what Edel spotted was that when you were getting people to use open banking, they weren't then having to go to their bank to get their bank statement, and to go to their bank, quite often the bank then tried to pinch that as an opportunity for credit. So there's added value here in terms of just getting them locked in. So sorry, Rebecca and Karen, I'll hand back to you guys. You have more questions.
Just one thing as well, Rebecca and Karen, from our own point of view, we also found as well, we're trying to, at the moment we still have a number of members who are emailing in documents, and obviously it's not really a secure portal of doing that. So we found that by obviously pushing open banking, and if they're doing it via the app or they're uploading themselves, whatever way they're uploading, it's definitely more secure. It's saving us time, because we're not getting in paper documents or email documents and then in turn having to scan them and save them to accounts. They're coming in, they're automatically saved, the work is done for you. And again, this is all part of streamlining your process and saving time. As I mentioned earlier on, we're still at the early days of this, and there's so many changes that we will make, and there's things coming up as we're going along, the path or this journey as such. But I'm definitely finding so far, it's definitely, we can already see some of the changes, and it's definitely something that we want to continue along with.
Great. Okay. And then I just wanted to kind of get a vision of when you're through to their online area, to their banking area, are you seeing just a statement, or are you seeing transactions? Like, for example, if they had a credit card as well, I just know from I bank with Bank of Ireland, so I know my credit card statement would be there and my bank statement. Would we be able to just see statements or transactions?
So it depends on what the member chooses to give you consent to view. So when they log in and they're on that portal as such, like a member could have 5 or 6 accounts and they can select the account they want to send the information across on.
Oh, very good.
The way we have it set up is that we receive whatever account they choose to allow us view. We are able to view 6 months transactions, and it shows debits, credits, and the balance is shown on it as well. And again, specifically because we have it linked in, or we will have it linked in with our Visualize, our decision assistance tool. So we'll have it fed in with that. And what we're going to do then as well is that it's going to obviously, if a member says they're earning $1,000 a month, it's going to pull the data from the bank statement as well. So there's a lot of additional benefits as well from it. You're not just getting a statement on it. But yeah, at the moment it's a 6-month listing of transactions. As I said, Airlink is valid for 72 hours. So when we're underwriting the loan, we'd see, oh, the member's transferring to this account so many times, whatever, we want to see this account. We can go back to the member. And once it's within 72 hours, they can go back into that link again and then relink up the additional statements. So, you know, you are aligned and the member has to give consent. And at the end of the day, they have to choose what information they send to you. If they have credit cards, they can select and send that to you as well. But it's up to them what they choose to send you.
Oh, that's fine. I was just kind of trying to get my head around that part of it. I think that's all. Did you have any questions?
What banks?
What
banks that are actually using
the open
banking right now? Like our main Irish banks, has everybody signed up, or are we missing some major banks?
I'll answer as best I can. I'm not 100% sure what banks are missing. I think the likes of EBS aren't included, but the mainstream banks, as in, like, as far as I know, AIB, Bank of Ireland, TSB, all those ones would be involved. Revolut, yeah.
Right,
Ian might know a bit more about that.
Yeah, well, the banks are obligated, guys, right? They have to be connected, right? Now, they are being candid. We do see some variation in terms of the quality of the data, sometimes in the categorization, that you get back. But yeah, the banks are under an obligation to provide this service. So yeah, so certainly the main banks you'll find are available. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that makes this really valuable for you, is you just get to kind of capitalize on the back of that, really.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Good questions, guys. Thank you. Edel, then Michelle has asked a question specifically around data sharing there. I don't know if you had a chance to have a look at that in the chat, but effectively what she's saying is that they are looking at it, but given that the contract with TrueLayer kind of sits as a sub-processor of Wellington's, I guess they're interested in how do you get comfortable about data sharing in that kind of model with a data controller in the middle. And this is complex, with multiple layers of DPIAs and data controllers, So I know you and Michael and the team there spent a bit of time looking at this, so I don't know if you have a specific story to tell in terms of how you navigated that.
No, like as I said, like this was probably one of our main concerns when we started this journey as such. But Mick is our head of regulatory compliance. He would have done a lot of research into this, and he would have dealt specifically with I think it's O'Dwyer was the company who looked after our DPIA back in August 2022. So all these areas would have been covered off in a lot of in-depth. But what I can do is that, Michelle, if you want, we can take it offline, and I can see if Mick maybe talk to, I'm not sure what your role is, yourself, or if somebody who deals in compliance within your credit union. I'm sure I'd be very happy to have a chat with you offline.
Thanks, Edel. That's good. John, then
Ian, just on that point. Yeah, I'm just wondering on that point.
Yes,
obviously, we obviously from our end at Wellington did our own due diligence on the open banking product, the integration with TrueLayer, being a market leader in the field as well, and covered off our own privacy impact assessment and all the key aspects of how the data was being shared our side from the credit union and then onto TrueLayer and back. So that was definitely a key part of the process before this thing, and we agreed to launch this type of product as well. So I thought that was important that we looked at it from every angle at our side too.
Yeah, it's layers of control then, isn't it? And how those things dovetail together. This is complex, guys, right? And that's why Edel quite rightly talked about the compliance element of this earlier in the presentation. It's about how you get comfortable with that, and yet capitalizing on the value that you can get from it. And you can make those two things work. It's just a matter of how you navigate them. So. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that. So, John, a couple of questions. One is it possible to get database view listing of the open banking requests with related loan number and request outcome, etc.? So we can integrate this into our reporting measure and use the impact of open banking. So, yeah, I'll need to pick that up with the team, John. But yeah, we obviously do capture that data. We hold it and we hold it in line with GDPR in terms of its data that's of value, right? I think there's probably an interesting question in terms of the context and under which you've been given access to that data, and what you then have the ability to do with it, John, right? But in terms of being able to get you access to it, then that's that certainly we can do that because it is persisted on the system for a period of time. And then the second half of your question, which I know Leanne has asked as well, is in relation to the visualizing decision as service integration. So just to clarify that, Edel touched on it briefly earlier. So what we've done is we've built an API as part of our Wellington API stack that basically says if we have collected open banking data from a member as part of a loan process, irrespective of whether it was online, in branch, via email, what we then have is the ability for a third-party system to access that data from us. Okay, so what we've done then is we've worked with Visualize and some of our other decision service partners to integrate that into their platform. So that's available now. And I think, Edel, you said that's getting deployed in Member First later this week. Is that right? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah,
so
I was talking with Elliot and John yesterday, so we hope by the end of this week it's good to go.
Perfect. So John and Leanne will be in touch with you guys then in terms of rolling that out. So that's available now, and effectively then what that means is that you then get the added value of the data as Edel's described, but flowing it through your decisioning platform. Okay. Any other questions, or anyone want to jump off mute and join?
Just while we're waiting on if there are any other questions, you want to pop them in the chat. This open banking integration is available for NI and UK credit unions as well, just because I know if you had registered for this event too. So if you're online,
yes,
it's available.
Yeah, it's available in both geographies. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I think we'll leave it there. Just I've seen some people had joined the session late and possibly missed quite a good bit of the session. So we'll send out a recording to you guys within the next half an hour, and in the follow-up email, so you'll be able to watch that recording, catch up. And I just want to say a big thank you to Edel and Kathy for leading this session. We really appreciate it, and hope everybody found it useful and informative. And if there's no other questions, then everyone have a lovely evening, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Edel. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Take care.
Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.